All right, good day, everybody, and welcome to One Stop Compliance Hub. So today we'll be looking at share allotment for companies under the pre-incorporation platform in Nigeria. So we've had series of requests on how to allot shares, how to create shares, and what they mean. Okay, so when doing your registration, when you get to the share allotment page, this is the first thing that will come up, which is the minimum share capital for designated companies. So based on this, you will have the minimum share capital required for various companies in Nigeria. So if you want to incorporate a company, just know which of these applies to your company. All right. So with that being said, we'll now proceed to the next step. So we'll close this, and then it brings us to the registration proper. All right. So now the first thing is the type of company. We'll select the type of company. There are a series of companies listed here. So depending on the company you're looking for, or depending on the share capital of your company, it will determine the price range for you to select from these options. However, if the company you're looking for is not listed from this option, I'll advise you go for corporate consultants, which is a minimum share capital of 5 million and above. So this is for 5 million and above. Your company is registering, it's not listed, and it's 5 million shares and above, you select this. But if it is less than 5 million, then you select entity with shares below 5 million. All right, so this suffices. Okay, so for today's own, let's say we'll be using corporate consultants who want to do with 5 million shares. All right, and then we'll select the amount of shares. So our client has said the value of his shares for the company are 8 million naira. So we'll select 8 million. Okay, so this is 8 million naira in terms of the value of the total issued share capital. So that's the first step. The second is the breakdown of total company issued share. Now at this breakdown, we are creating a preference shares or an equity shares. An equity share is an ordinary share. It's the standard and the default share you create for every company. However, there are times where you need to create a preference shares depending on the structure of that company. So please read up on preference shares to understand more about preference shares. But for today's class, we'll be doing, we'll create both. Now take note that your preference and equity share will fall inside this 8 million. So your total shares that we'll be creating in this place cannot be more than 8 million. All right. So for this one, first we'll be creating an equity share of 8 million, just an equity. So we're assuming the company wants only equitable shares or ordinary shares. So this will be 8 million here. It cannot be more than what we've chosen in step 1. So once we've selected the 8 million shares, now divided into and the nominal value. Now this divided into a nominal value determines the value of this 8 million shares. Now this is 8 million shares. It's not that it's 8 million naira. Okay, so depending on what the way your company wants to generate its funds will determine how you create the shares from this place. So if you want each of the shares to be valued at 1 million, at 1 naira, then we'll divide it into 8 million. So what it means is any shareholder that is coming, for each shares they are buying, they will have to pay 1 naira. All right. But if we want it to be, to have 80 million shares, then we add a 0, and then the nominal value becomes 0.1 kobo per share. So when you see a company share is 0.1 kobo per share, it simply means they have up to 80 million shares. All right. So at 1 kobo per share, the investors are coming to buy. When they pay for each 1 kobo they pay, they are getting 1 share. That's what we mean. So we can still reduce the value of the share to be 10 naira per share, which means we have only 800,000 shares to offer to our members. So the total number of shares that will be out there will be 800,000. So depending on how you want to structure it, this is how you go about the division and then the nominal value. Now, most times I do see people will create something like this. So they'll go and put divided into it, and then the nominal value is 1 million. If you do this, what this means is you only have 8 shares to offer to the members, and each share is valued at 1 million naira. And this is really not good for practice. This is really not the best in terms of business development. All right. So you want your share value to be as minimum as possible for you to have lots of shares to offer to the public or to your members. Okay. So for this, we can just do 800. So we are going with the value of each of these shares to be 10 naira, and then with the total shares we have is 800,000. So once that is settled, we click on add share. Then you can now see a column comes up: ordinary share, issued share capital 8 million, issued share capital in worth 8 million naira, divided into, that's number of units, 800,000. So the total number of shares we are given will be 800,000, and then each of these shares is valued at 10 naira. So each person you are giving the shares, for each share you are giving, that person must have paid you 10 naira. Right? So once you've done that, all you need to do is come to your shareholders. Okay, then you scroll down, and then you have this. So you can see when you select ordinary shares, we have a total of 800. So if I'm allotting 500,000 here, it means this person has paid about 5 million naira for him to get 500,000 shares. Okay, so that is how you create your shares for ordinary shares. Now for preference shares, remember I said the whole share has to fall under this 8 million. So we'll have to edit this. Okay, so we want to create ordinary shares and preference shares. So ordinary shares will be creating ordinary shares of 5 million. So we'll turn this to 5 million. Okay, then so you can see we are maintaining the division. It means this will be 6 naira per share, but I want to do everything at 1 naira. Every share thing should be valued at 1 naira. So divided into 1 million. So I have 1 million shares to share. This will be valued at 5 naira each. So we'll add share details. Then now Allotment creates preference shares. Then we have 3 million left. Alright, so the preference shares, usually preference shares are more expensive than ordinary shares. Okay, preference shares are more expensive than ordinary shares. So we could do 1.5. Okay, 150 rather. Then you can see if we do 150, each share is valued at 20 naira. Alright, so or we could do 15,000 preference shares valued at 200 naira per share. Then you click on add share details. So you can now see we have ordinary shares of 5 million and preferential shares of 3 million. And then for the ordinary shares, we have a total of 1 million to offer to the public or to our members. And for the preference share, we only have 15,000 to offer to our members because each is valued at 200 and this is valued at 5 naira. So basically, that is how you create your share allotment on the CAC Post Incorporation dashboard. So if you're new to our channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, and follow us for more content on corporate compliances in Nigeria. And if you have any questions or any challenge, please feel free to hit the comment section and drop your challenge, your question, or if there are any specific area you would like us to create content on, please post it on the comment section and we'll do that as soon as possible. Stay with us and do have a lovely day.